Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Miscellaneous Gab. And today, in order to whet our appetites for the next episode, I thought it would be fun to go over some theories I'm thinking about and some theories that you're thinking about. Now, last episode, episode 6, I filmed and edited my review within a few hours of the episode dropping. So of course, I missed some things. That's what I get for trying to get my video out first. But now that I've watched it a couple times, I've had time to marinate. I have some more to talk about. I have some more to think about it, and I'm hoping you'll join me. If you're new to my channel, please consider liking this video, subscribing, commenting below. It greatly helps my channel with the algorithm. And I need all the friends I can get when it comes to discussing Pluribus. First things first, I posted this over on TikTok as well, is the theory about Manusos, his radio signal, and what it actually means in terms of the hive communication and what's to come. Now, when I first saw him tune into this 8.6130 radio station and heard that little kind of do. Here, I was thinking that that was just a stray song. Literally, my first thought was that he would hear that and it would connect him to Carol's cop car, and that was how he and Carol would communicate. That beat, after listening to it a couple times as I rewatched, it clearly doesn't sound as much like a song as I thought it would. You know, they've showed us a lot happening over the radio. They've showed the genie in a bottle playing on Carol's car radio. We've seen the radio come through from the hive in her police cruiser. My initial thought was it's just a song and he might be able to tune into that and Carol's tuned into that, and that is how they talk to each other while they're both driving. Here's my other take. That 4 beat that's in the frequency, we know that the original signal that was sent to Earth was 4 distinct beats that made up the RNA sequence that eventually infected the rat, that eventually infected the human. So here's my thought. What if this is like the hive station? What if this is the hive frequency that is not only holding the hive together, but allowing their thoughts and memories and everything to become shared? Now, I'm not an expert at all, literally at all, on radio signals or anything like that, so I had to look it up a little bit, and I've learned that radio waves do affect people and they affect the environment. Studies have also shown that radio signals affect neurotransmitter levels. So alterations in neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, and something I can't pronounce, which are vital for mood, learning, and memory, and have been observed in some animal studies following RF exposure. This is huge. It can affect cognitive function, it can affect mood, it can affect memory. So what if this particular signal that is kind of broadcasting on this channel everywhere is actually increasing their levels of serotonin and dopamine? What if it's less of a fundamental like biological change and shift in what makes up a human, but more how a human brain is tuned, the signals that it was receiving and the way that it feels as a result? There's been a lot of discussion about, well, you haven't asked how the hive has felt. We know how we feel. You don't know how we feel. We know the pain. What if these people are just on Molly all the time? Like, what if this radio signal, the RNA frequency is kind of the receptor that's in them that just allows things in their body to receive this signal, and it is some sort of magic, hypnosis, whatever, is just making these people over the moon happy, and that is the quote unquote biological imperative that comes in, because they're like, we are just freaking loving life. We know everyone else needs to feel this Molly type of existence every single day. Now, this is a super niche take, and if any of you know what I'm saying, please leave this in the comments below. But when I was a kid, my mom would have me listen to these Christian adventure stories called Adventures in Odyssey. Is this ringing a bell? Anyway, this is in one of the seasons. There's this evil corporation called Novacom, which basically figures out some niche science way to turn radio waves into brain waves. So they kind of broadcast these radio waves from this huge tower, and it's basically functions as mind control. So they do these studies in the town where in the same week, the radio signals coming out of their TV box are making people go buy the same chips one week and then the same soda the next week and then the bird houses the next week. And that's kind of like market research to seeing how well their mind control actually works. Now, I know that is so far into the realm of fiction, but that's where we are right now. If someone can think about the plausibility of converting radio waves into brain waves, could that be something that we're seeing here? Also, this wasn't my idea, but people in the comments have let me know that there's the symbolism of 8, 6, 86, 13. So 86, like cut the 13, and maybe that is the signal that is helping them channel all their focus on their own efficiency, but also turning the rest of the 13 into the hive. Because maybe the hive, maybe the joining is just the first step. We still don't know their goal. I don't know their goal. We don't know what's going on, but I know that they have one goal, and that goal is to change the unjoined into the joined. Now, as I was thinking about this, what really struck me is the word chaperone, right? So we've heard the word chaperone mentioned many different times. Carol is like, I don't need a chaperone. She gets really angry at that idea. But what is a chaperone? It's someone who's watching over you to make sure you are behaving. It's kind of an odd name for the hive. I won't even lie. We know that the hive is manipulating Carol by not only sending someone to watch over her and help her, but someone who she would objectively find really attractive, and also someone she basically created, right? That's got to be another level of like dominatrix going on. Like, I made you. You're my dream girl, but I also made you. But what do we think about this word chaperone? If you can keep the unaffected happy, if you can keep their libido just moving right along, them winning at Vegas, them getting their favorite foods, maybe it's not to be helpful. Maybe it's not to make them feel comfortable, because in reality, do any of these people truly need watching over, unless they need to be watched over to make sure that they don't do something or figure something out or put the pieces together. So maybe they're not being helpful at all, trying to feed people their favorite foods, trying to give people their favorite memories and have them win at poker. It's literally to give them enough bread and circus, entertainment, sense of security, safety, and now even camaraderie, right? Because now we know that the unaffected are trying to find a way to keep the joined eating. Then nobody's going to be thinking of the radio signal except our boy Manusos, who some of you mentioned maybe has like ex-military or special forces training, because that man is keeping money in the lamp. He has a go bag ready to go. He has maps, he has things. So what are we going to learn about him? We know that the next episode is called The Gap. It's dangerous in today's age, but I'm sure it's dangerous if you're just a one-man operation. He's going to find himself in a position where he maybe has to potentially ask the hive for help. But I also think this is going to be a huge flex where we get to see how much of a certified badass Manusos truly is. Now, one thing I've talked about in my lives is that e pluribus unum literally translates to out of many, one. And I think that this is very evident in the intro sequence. We see all these dots come together to form the word pluribus, but there's no I in pluribus, right? There's no individual in pluribus. Thank you to whoever put that in my comments. However, there is a one. And I do have this theory, whether it's the queen bee of queen of the hive, or even the mother with the milk symbolism, Mother Earth or Mother Carol, out of many, there will be one. And maybe that's the point. Maybe these 13 are the best potential candidate because of something in their genetic makeup. I don't know, but it will eventually come down to one. That whole radio situation, there is a way to block those signals, and some of you have let me know in my comments that is called a Faraday cage. And a Faraday cage is a conductive enclosure that blocks external electromagnetic fields, protecting its interior from interference like radio waves, static, and lightning strikes. So Zoja will probably be the first joined to become regular. And I think maybe whether it's at the end of this season or in the next season, someone will have to flip by the end of this season, whether that's a joined becoming a human, again, cutting off the radio signal, breaking it, or a unaffected becoming a joined. Now, the other theory I want to talk about is the hints of Carol's writing and the idea of the Bitter Chrysalis. So we know the Bitter Chrysalis is a book that pretty much no one has read in full other than Carol. So it can't be in anybody's mind. No one can use it to predict the way she's going to think, because even Helen only got about a quarter of the way through. Before we get to that, when we look at the whiteboard where Carol is writing her plan for her next Wakaro book, we see a couple interesting things. We see Raban dies for real this time, which we know from Blood Song of Wakaro that Raban has had some kind of fake outs, really mirrors the potential of somebody flipping Zoja, maybe coming back to life. Zoja is Raban. Raban has come back to life from the dead, and that's my prediction at the end of this season, is that Zoja, whether in a Faraday cage or a kiss or a drug, she will come back. We also see the word love potion and poison written on the board, which I think we can draw the parallel to the potion that Carol gave to Zoja which is part of the key in some way. I think she'll connect more pieces. Remember at the end of that episode, it looks like a key where Zoja is the key in the keyhole. She is the key to figuring this out. Now I want to dial in on the word chrysalis a little bit because I think there's so much symbolism in just the idea of a chrysalis. Starting as a caterpillar and becoming a butterfly is pretty freaking crazy, right? Like you start as one thing and you become something else, like a completely different thing. And it's part of using your own like juice inside of you to become that. And it's not only making me think of human derived protein, but also just the metamorphosis and the change that we see in what it means to be a human or in the collective. The chrysalis is that hard shell in the pupal stage right before it becomes a butterfly, where the actual what will become the parts, the skin, the wings of the butterfly are very hard and crystallized in a way, serving as that protection against the elements as the goo reforms. When we look at the symbolism, right, we can think about one, the liminality between worlds. So you're not one thing and you're not another. It's kind of like Schrodinger's butterfly, where you're both this and that, but you're also not this and that. Could this mean that the hive isn't fully done with their transformation, that this is just a small step in the process of becoming and of evolution? Then there's this idea of the death of the old self, which is obviously what's happened with the hive, but we have to wonder, is the self trapped in there? And do they know what's going on? Will Zosha come back with full memory and actually then help take down the hive because she was so terrified of what it meant to be in this liminal space between worlds? But could it also talk about Carol and the transformation that she will have to undergo, either to reach the top and be that out of many, the one, the queen, the mother, the ultimate Karen, the last one standing? Carol tells Koumba that she's a writer. Why didn't they invite her? She can come up with great ideas. And I think that was a little bit of a hint that it's potentially Carol's work, Carol's writing. The things she's always kind of resisted in herself will ultimately be the key that will allow her to think differently in this world that she's in. Now we got to talk about the eggs. We have to talk about the eggs. So I talked about the eggs, her unfertilized frozen eggs in my last video. I know when we thought stem cells, everyone jumped to eggs. Don't worry, I did too. A quick Google told me that unfertilized eggs do not contain stem cells. Now in my last video, I'm like, well, they'll just make a baby, right? And that's how they'll get her stem cells. Only embryonic stem cells become their own new person stem cells, so they won't be Carol's stem cells. Now maybe they still think that there's a way to get through Carol through whatever. Researchers can technically coax an unfertilized egg into activating as if it were fertilized, which is scientifically possible, but extremely technical. So it's very precise, it's very certain. This could be something that they're potentially working on. So this could be one non-baby method, which is maybe the simplest, that they just have their best scientists on it. They have her genetic material, they can spin it up, divide it, and it can become stem cells. This method would only carry the genetic material of the egg. So this would be a potential way to do it. This also led me to another thought, because I truly do think we're dealing with a Chekhov's egg situation. I want to talk about Koumba and his genetic material that he's splooging all over the place, right? This can't be a total coincidence. And this made me think, what does everyone, for the most part, have in common who we've seen so far who are pro-hive? Their family. Koumba is an exception. I don't know where his family is, but again, he's kind of appealing to that carnal, lustful instinct. Carol's family, I mean, we know her mom sent her to conversion camp, so I'm sure she's not missing her. Helen was her family, and Helen unfortunately passed away right when the joining occurred. If we look at the other unaffected, they're way more sympathetic to the hive because their families are right there. That to hurt the hive would be to hurt families. Now we know people have their sisters, their mother, their husband, but who is the most wildly protective, wildly pro-hive person? Other than Koumba, right? That's Lakshmi. Why would we see her so many times? It is not just for comedic relief. She is a mother. That is her son. That is her child. And they say that there's no love greater than the love a mother has for her child. We see it in the animal kingdom, right? You don't want to fuck with a mother grizzly bear. You do not want to, straight revenant style. She will gut you if her kids are around, because that protection of a mother towards her child is so base. It's so fierce. It's so archaic and carnal. It's so crucial to our evolution. So my question is, could they potentially still make a Carol baby, not to get her stem cells, but to bring out that carnal nature, that protection, where if they make a joined baby, a baby that is joined and part of the hive, Could that convince Carol to join the Hive? And what if they made a Carol and Koumba baby? What if they were like, they had a little collection bag for the sperm that he is giving so freely? They do their IVF thing. Maybe one of the girls carries the baby and it's freaking Carol's baby. Thoughts on that? Now, I also want to talk about the Hive and how the Hive deals with consent. And Carol's like really riding on this thing that they have her consent. I don't know who asked the military guy at the vending machine where his consent was when the woman kissed him. I don't know when the rat asked for consent to bite the lady. Their understanding of consent is like sketchy at absolute best. Now remember, when Carol was helping Zoja get to the hospital, apparently she gave some non-committal nod that the Hive could go in and clean her house, and they took that as her consent. She didn't remember giving it. Maybe it's a body language, maybe it's a nod. I really think that the end all be all of consent with the Hive is not what we think it is at all, and we're probably going to be thrown for a loop. Not us, but the characters will be in some way, shape, or form. Now, my prediction is that, again, they will turn one of the unaffected this season, or Zoja will come back to being a human. How will they turn one of the unaffected? Unless someone happily gives their stem cells, which I could see them happily giving it, especially that girl who wants to join her family. It's a matter of time before Carol has one of those Karen freak out rage maxing moments and more people get hurt. We know that with Lakshmi, even after her whole family turned, she's still driving in the car with a member of the Hive who could crash. And that car crash, we know it hurt Lakshmi. They have a lot of repeating imagery of Lakshmi had a freaking band-aid on her forehead like a week after the incident. Like, come on, girl. Why do you still have a band-aid on your head? Carol has cuts all over the place. She's almost gotten hurt and blown up to smithereens so many times. So is someone going to get hurt or injured and the Hive will treat them and then just kind of help themselves to a little bit of bone marrow, a little bit of stem cells? Now, one comment I did want to read from YouTube comes from Red Bar Paradise. Manusos will become Carol's enemy because he won't have any sympathy for the Hive. She'll kill him to prevent him from trying to destroy them. I think he'll kill Zosha. That's my shot in the dark prediction. Now, I love this. I don't necessarily agree that this will be something that will happen, but I do think that Carol and Manusos will have to butt heads. Carol is a little bit more sympathetic to the Hive than Manusos. He is a stone cold killer. I do think he is ex-military, special ops, special forces, something, because he's like, you're not my mom because my mom was a bitch. Does not care. Hates the Hive. So I could see Carol, she's warmed up to Zoja in her way, and I could see Manusos having a zero tolerance policy for the Hive. Absolutely will eat dog food out of the freaking trash can before I so much as a look at the Hive. I do think that the next episode we will get a sense for Manusos' level of badassery. Remember, he's like the tactician and Carol's kind of like the creative, the writer, the storyteller. So I think they could be a dynamic duo, but I think they could really butt heads and there might be different layers of how they think of the Hive, right? We know the other unaffected, they want to save the Hive. We know Carol wants to turn them back, but she does feel genuinely so bad about what she did to Zoja, and I could see Manusos just going like, bump, 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 I don't care. That is my theory discussion, guys. I am really hoping I'll be able to get my episode 7 video out in time, but I will be out of town / on a plane as it is coming out. So please watch it when I do put it out. I have emailed Apple TV asking for early episodes because I will always be there to shoot my shot, but alas, I've not heard from them. So if you can pass along my message to them, that would be exceptional. I'd like to thank all my Waffle Party VIP members. Thank you to Bo Dierker. Thank you to Matt Winberry as well, who mods the Miscellaneous Gab Discord, Dolores Abernathy, Jim Rodney, Chris Bezeski, Daniel Ariano, and Marlon Yamzon. And thank you to everyone else who supports my channel. I could not do it without you guys. Thank you all for every like, comment, and subscribe. It really, really, really helps me out so much. So hoping to do more lives and videos and theory discussions with you soon. Drop your biggest theories below. It doesn't matter how crazy they are. Stay safe out there. If you see a friend or family member who's acting weird, don't let them kiss you. And I will see you later. Take care. Bye.